Okay, well, without further ado then, I'd like to bring up Alex from AskNicely. And Alex, just to kick things off, I'm asking every speaker, what is your personal quest?
Personal quest, yeah. I was going to go the corny route and kind of tie it into my presentation a little bit. Presentation's all about, no, I'm going to stick with it. So
you're going to stick with corny.
About feedback, right?
Okay.
And about NPS, and so my personal quest is all about making it okay to give feedback, right?
Nice.
So to your partner, to your friends, to your colleagues, whoever it is, you know, we're in this weird world where we think that feedback is criticism.
Yeah.
And so I want to break out of that and make it okay to say, hey, this is where you can improve. This is some things that I've noticed that I've seen. So.
Well, if you have any for me later on, I hope you'll give
Likewise,
it to me.
yeah.
Okay, awesome,
Hopefully
Alex.
everyone saves their tomato throwing till the end. So.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Great. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining. So, yes, this is going to be a little bit meta. It's the talk today is how does an NPS company drive NPS? So just to kick things off, I kind of wanted to do a quick poll and a quick show of hands. Who here knows what NPS stands for? Nice. Everybody is here to talk about NPS, the National Park Service. Lame joke. Okay, so we're going to talk about NPS, the Net Promoter Score. For those of you who didn't raise their hands, the Net Promoter Score is really a very easy way to gather feedback from your customers and to measure customer loyalty and future growth and revenue, right? So we're going to talk a little bit about this. On the agenda, we're going to be talking about who is AskNicely, the company that we work for. NPS on NPS, so how we make the most out of our own customer feedback. We'll walk you guys through the 5 best practices that we take and that we follow every single day. So we're going to kind of reveal the curtain of best practices, and then of course some Q&A at the end. But I'm going to start off with this beautiful slide of Portland, Oregon, where we are headquartered. Yeah, a couple Portlanders here. This is what it looks like the majority of the time. It's actually a really beautiful city. And if you've heard that it's gloomy and rainy, that's honestly just what we tell people to keep the Californians out. So it does look like this. It's a beautiful city. Come visit. So AskNicely, we are customer obsessed. We're a company that really preaches the gospel of customer feedback, right? So how do we walk the walk inside our own 4 walls? Well, I'm going to take you through a little bit of a tour throughout our staff and our employees. You're going to meet some friendly faces, and we'll teach you guys, like I said, some tips on what we do. So the first face we'll meet is Abby Castro. Abby was actually our very first CSM that we ever hired. We met her at a conference in San Francisco, ironically. And Abby, she runs her own blog. It's called Ask Abby. And one of the things that people always ask her is, you know, when should I be surveying my customers? Do I do it once a year, 4 times a year at random times? Do I create some kind of cadence around it? We really believe in surveying customers daily, right? So creating these different cadences, creating these different timelines, and really aligning the survey sending with specific milestones throughout the customer journey, that's what helps you to craft a really good understanding. That's what helps you to craft a really good understanding of what your customers are thinking. So just some practical examples. We have 3. I'm going to give you 3 good clues here for great ways that we do this. So the first milestone, the first journey that we do is actually on day 30. Day 30 of becoming a new customer, we send out and we trigger a survey. The reason why we do that is we want to gather feedback on what the onboarding process was like, right? Were they onboarded the right way? Are they happy? Is the first impression good? The second one that we do is a week before our 90-day QBRs. So we're about to go into a QBR. We just got feedback. Now we actually have a talking point. We have something that we can actually use while we go in there. Hey, we noticed that you wanted to bring up XYZ. Let's make sure that we actually address that. The third one that we do is 45 days before our annual renewal. So as a software company, that gives us a little bit of time if a customer is unhappy to actually dive into what's going on, see if we can alleviate those problems and fix those issues, and ultimately renewal date. So yes, practical tips, find the important moments, set your surveys to drip daily, and touch every customer, not just a sample, all right? So how do we do that? Let's meet Andrew Shanks. Andrew is our integrations guru. So he has hooked up the integrations for us with Intercom, with Salesforce, which I bet 90% of you use, with Slack. That's a way that we actually create these automations. So rather than having to upload a CSV, we automate the entire process, so we know that whenever something happens in Salesforce, that's the event that would trigger out a survey. It's a great way for us to keep that going, but also, it keeps everything consistent. Obviously, our CSMs and our account managers and our salespeople, they don't want to learn a new product. They live and breathe every single day inside of Salesforce, inside of Gainsight. So we feed all of that information back into those systems to make sure that we have one universal source of truth that's gathering all that data. So here's a quick look, Salesforce integration, right? Obviously, we push that data back into Salesforce so we can segment down, we can understand where are their trends, how are our enterprise customers doing versus our professional plan, how is this location versus that location. We also integrate it into Slack. Our Slack integration is kind of cool. So what we do is we actually create an appreciation channel. So whenever somebody gets shouted out by name for doing a really great job, they're automatically fed into this channel. And it'll say, hey, John Snow is amazing to work with. He's such a great guy. Well, when John gets tagged, we'll all jump in there like, yeah, John, you're awesome. You did a really good job. So now John's feeling the love. He's getting visibility from the leadership team. He's feeling appreciated. That's how you create a culture of appreciation, right? Now John knows that these are the right things that he's doing. He wants to create these best practices day in and day out. So Slack is a really great tool to be able to do that and to leverage that. So again, practical tips from Andrew. Integrate NPS into your CX tech stack. Salesforce, Intercom, Slack, Gainsight, HubSpot, Zendesk, whatever you guys use. And then create these multiple channels to ensure the right feedback goes to the right person. So we talked about how we do it, but I think the big key here is what do you do with that information? It's not just about measuring it, it's actually about actioning that feedback, right? So this is Trudy. She is our VP of Customer Success and Advocacy. She's sitting over there. And Trudy, like any good CS leader, she really focuses on two big important things, churn and expansion, right? Those are super, super important. So what we do is we always make sure that, back in the old day before we hired Trudy, right, we were a very reactive CS team, right? We're always putting out fires. Come over here, put out this fire. We're done. Come over here and put out that fire. It's not really a great way to run a CS team. I think the more successful way of doing this is being more proactive. Growth, focusing on the things that you can do that will help generate revenue for the company, not just put out fires. So what we do is we're always ensuring that we're proactive, right? We create these alerts that let us know when a customer's unhappy. So if somebody's giving us a score of a 0 or a 5 or whatever it is, we alert that CS in real time, whether it's through our mobile app or through email or through Salesforce, so they can quickly go out and call that person and make sure that they're delivering upon that amazing experience. So a few practical tips. Use NPS to identify early warning indications, right? Just like I said, the 45 days before renewal, so important. Make sure that you're actually following up and doing something about it. And alert the customer success managers, right? Empower them to take some accountability and some ownership in what they're doing. Place that feedback into their hands so they can actually say, wow, here are the people that I need to call today that are at risk. I'm going to go make those phone calls. Or here are all my 10s. Here are the people that love me. I'm going to give them a call and see if I can expand the account. Or people that love me, I'm going to give them a call and see if I can expand the account or grow the account or get an introduction into a different business unit, right? And of course, that feeds into marketing as well. So if there's any marketing people here, or if you guys team up with your marketing professionals, this is a great way to identify these evangelists and advocates. So, it's not just about the people that are unhappy, right? You probably will have a ton of people that are raising their hands and saying, oh my God, I love your company. You guys are doing an amazing job. You've helped me with XYZ, right? Don't ignore these people. These are marketing gold. These are your best marketers. They're the ones that are going to go out there and refer others. They're the ones that are going to leave reviews on G2 Crowd. Shout out to G2 Crowd. They're going to be testimonials, case studies. Those are the ones that we really want to highlight and to create evangelists out of. So practical tips, yes, identify or promote. Encourage them to go shout out, refer their friends, tell others about you. That really is what helps power the growth flywheel. And it helps you really identify what you should be doing with your product, with your services. It helps create these happy customers, creates this loyalty within them, and promotes growth within your brand. So finally, we'll take a look at Aaron Ward here. He is our CEO and co-founder. He's a Kiwi from New Zealand. Any New Zealanders here? Nice. Hello. Kia ora. So Aaron is a big culture guy, right? He's super, super focused on culture. That's his main thing. He really wants to create this culture internally of great customer experiences. So what we do is we push this information up onto a huge big screen TV. The first thing you do when you walk into our office is there's this massive 90-inch TV screen, and it is AskNicely TV. It's a real-time ticker of every single comment that comes through in real time. It's ultimately the pulse, or the heartbeat of our business, right? And customer feedback and NPS should never just be your responsibility from the CS team or marketing team or whoever. It's never just your responsibility. The experience of our customers is the responsibility of every single employee, right? It doesn't matter if they're an intern for the summer. Everyone should care about what they're doing and how they're positively influencing the customer experience. So this is a great way that we socialize feedback and we democratize the feedback throughout the organization and really share it to everybody, all right? A quick story that's kind of fun. About 3 months ago, we had this contest. We said to ourselves, hey, we want to be the best of the best. We want to get to a score of 75. That's our ultimate goal for NPS. So what we did is we threw out this contest. We said, hey, listen, if we can get to that score by the end of the quarter, we're going to throw a huge party. We're going to have a huge celebration. So, of course, all of our employees got ramped up. We came into work early. We stayed late. We were going above and beyond to do the things that we needed. And in the end, we hit our goal. We reached that metric. Who benefited from that? It was the customers, right? Because now they're getting this amazing experience. They're seeing, wow, AskNicely is really synonymous with great customer experiences. So of course, they went and told their friends. They're leaving good reviews, creating testimonials. That helps us generate new leads, new opportunities, new business. Well, if the business is thriving, they're going to invest back into their employees and reward their employees. If the employees are being rewarded, they're going to invest back into their customers, right? So this is the growth flywheel that we really believe in. It starts with advocating your employees to create these amazing experiences and getting them bought in and really believing in and knowing what your customers are thinking at all times and doing something about that. So, practical tips. Deliver feedback that is relevant to every individual, right? Display these dashboards in high traffic areas. Deliver feedback that is relevant to every individual, right? Display these dashboards in high traffic areas, break room, lunchroom, above the CEO's office, all hands meetings, whatever it might be. Encourage friendly competition, gamify the experience, right? Have a dashboard on your sales floor of how each salesperson is doing versus their peers, how each support person is doing, how each CSM is doing. Encourage that friendly competition and catch people doing things right and really celebrate that, right? Create that culture of appreciation and create that culture of customer obsession, really, inside your organization. So, quick summary, ABS, always be surveying. It's very important, always touch your customers, drip that out. Integrate NPS into your CX tech stack. Whatever you use, make sure it's automated. You're creating a process out of that. Use feedback to identify at-risk customers, right? Let's never get always on top of that, and we can predict that. Power the growth flywheel with feedback and advocacy, right? Great customer experiences create more great customer experiences. And finally, make it personal. Catch people doing things right. So if anybody wants to learn more, we are dead center in the booth. We have the cute little mandarin oranges. If anybody wants a Ask Nicely orange, I'll make a joke. Orange, you glad you stopped by? Still working on it. Come talk to us. Myself and Kent and Trudy will be at the booth. Please feel free to ask any questions. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Alex. So everybody's going to the Slido poll now. Alex, what's a good response rate for an NPS survey?
It's a great question. You know, traditional old school surveys, you get plagued with these terrible response rates of like sub 5%, sub 10%. It's really frustrating. NPS is so beautiful because it's simple and it's short and it's concise and it's easy. So a good response rate would be if you can get anywhere between 20 and 40%.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Are there some subject lines that you need to send that out with, like to kind of really?
Totally. Make it personal, right?
Right.
Put someone's name. Hey, Alan. Just a quick question.
Right. Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. And Anonymous wants to know, how do you increase the response rate? Any best practices there to kind of
Totally.
keep it?
So send it from your domain, right? Set it up so it's actually coming from you guys. That way it's not getting caught in a spam filter or a junk filter. Send it at the right times so it's actually relevant to the customer. They're like, oh yeah, I've just got onboarded, now it makes sense. And like I said, make it personal in the subject line. Keep it concise and simple and easy.
Okay. So, how do you communicate with customers if you've got a low NPS score? You get a low NPS score, do you keep in touch with them? Do you let them know communicating that?
Yeah, absolutely. The very most important thing is respond back. Say something, right? Can you imagine flying at an airline and they lost your luggage and they ask you for feedback and you reply back, that was awful, you lost my luggage. And they go, all right, thanks for your feedback. You want to avoid that, right? Respond back immediately. Hey, I'm here, I'm listening. Let me see what I can do to help you out. So I think that personal touch is really, really important to go above and beyond and make sure that you're actually actioning feedback and closing the loop and responding back to your customers.
How do you do that at scale?
You automate what you can, but you make it personalized where you can.
Okay. How many times per year, this is from Kelsey, oops, sorry. I'm going to switch to Kelsey's question.
Sure.
Why do you send surveys, or jumping around, why do you send surveys based on milestone as opposed to on standard cadence, such as quarterly, every other quarter? Is there ever a case for a more time-based NPS?
Sure, so there's two different...
Based NPS.
Sure, so there's two different names for this, right? Transactional and relationship NPS. Relationship is what you're talking about on a quarterly basis. That's fine in the right scenario, right? If you just say to yourself, hey, I want to understand what my customers are saying, I'm going to hit them 4 times a year. Just don't do it like one day and then wait 90 days and survey all of your customers and then wait 90 days and survey all of your customers, because you're going to get these giant gaps and you'll have no idea why it climbed or why it dropped down. It's important to drip it out every single day. So you're grabbing a certain amount and you're surveying it every single day and creating that trend line. I think that transactional is also really important, like I mentioned in those 3 examples. Right after they're onboarded, what do they think? Right before QBR, can we use that information? Right before a renewal, can we actually try to save them, or if they're happy, is that an easy renewal for us, right?
And who should own it? Who should own NPS? Is it a marketing thing?
Everyone.
Is it a CS thing?
Everyone should own it. Yes.
Okay.
Where I typically see it owned, is in CS departments and marketing departments, but everyone should own it. It should never just be siloed into one department, right? What's the point? It's like I said, it's customer experience is not just your roles, right? Mm-hmm. The customer experience is the role of every single frontline person and back-end person that's creating the product or selling the product. It's all of our responsibilities to go above and beyond and do something for the customers.
So maybe it's like one person or group needs to execute study, but like we all need to kind of be
you're going to have a couple of admins that are running the show for sure.
Right.
You don't want everybody.
That's a distraction almost.
Yeah, so you'll have a couple of admins that are owning it and they're running it. But you always want to make sure that you're putting that feedback into the hands of the right people at the right time.
Yeah.
Because that's how you really create that culture of customer obsession.
Okay. 7 votes for this one. I'm going to rephrase it a little bit. How many times per year do you do an NPS survey for accounts? Could there be survey
Great
fatigue?
Question.
Yeah.
Totally a great question. So what I see common is between 4 to 6 times a year.
Okay.
That's best practice that we see pretty commonly. That would break down to every 60 or 90-ish days. You should definitely have certain rules that say, hey, if somebody just got hit for a survey, make sure they don't get another survey for 90 days. Because you don't want somebody getting one and then getting one a week later, right? It's not going to be very relevant and it might make the customer upset. So you can create these rules and these survey fatigue rules that say, hey, let's make sure we wait X amount of days before the next one. Yeah. But practical takeaway tip, 4 to 6 times a year is really good. That's what we see as a pretty often best practice.
Awesome. We're just running into lunch here, so I think we'll let people go in a few minutes, but time for a couple more. What are some of the flaws? I love this. This is from Nicholas. What are some of the flaws you've identified in how NPS is collected or used? Give us some war stories here. What are things like all data can be well used or misused? Give us some war stories here. What are things like all data can be well used or misused, right? So what are some possible pitfalls?
That's a tough one. That's a good question, Nicholas. I'm going to come find you. Flaws. I mean, doing nothing with the feedback is the biggest flaw, right? Asking for feedback and then just sitting there on it. You know, the old school way of doing this is you gather a bunch of feedback, you create this research paper or this dashboard, and a bunch of guys go into a boardroom and they are like, okay, we're going to do that. That's going to be our thing that we go tackle for this next quarter. And then 90 days later, it's like, oh, wait, we forgot about that. Let's try that again. We'll do it now. I think the better way of doing it is feeding that information in every single day and making real-time decisions, right?
Yeah.
Making business decisions based on your data, based on what your customers are saying. That's gold. That's such an easy way to really tackle that.
Here's a great one. Should we separate out NPS for service and product? Should they be asked separately, or should you send?
So say that one more time. Where is it? Should we NPS scores for service and product be asked separately? Yeah, so there are some customers that'll probably want to gather feedback inside their product as heavy users are using it. That's definitely common, right? If you want to gather feedback inside your product and you just want to focus on what are they saying about the product.
Yeah,
right?
or this part of the product maybe.
This part of the product. And maybe you fuel that or funnel that into the product team so that they can find those people and add them to the beta or create new products and new features based on the requests that they're
Hey, we just released a new reporting feature. Can you give us some feedback?
Exactly.
What do you think of this, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So yeah, in that case, it would definitely be asked separately, but you could do it together too. I mean, it really depends on, you guys know your customers best. It depends on what makes most sense. I've seen it both ways.
Here's a great one about generating themes from text feedback. How do you do that? How do you cluster this feedback?
That's one of my favorite parts. So you know, we have this word analysis tool that basically allows for you to create these buckets. That's one of my favorite parts. So you know, we have this word analysis tool that basically allows for you to create these buckets. So you can create a bucket like responsiveness, right? And you create these different keywords. So anytime somebody leaves a comment that uses the words respond, responds, delay, waiting, slow, reply, you know that that's talking about the actual responsiveness of our team. And that will help you guys actually see, okay, well, we're noticing that responsiveness is a huge factor, and our NPS score just based on responsiveness was so low. That's probably why we lost so many customers this quarter, right? You can create those buckets for individual CSMs too, which is kind of valuable. So if I am a CSM and I really want to take ownership and accountability in what I'm doing, maybe that's the first thing I look at in the morning is like, where can I be better?
Nice.
Where can I personally improve? Okay, if I'm not being responsive, I'll make sure that I'm following back up within 5 minutes because I want to make sure that my customers are happy.
Okay, let's take one more. This is an interesting one. NPS versus customer satisfaction.
Yeah.
Is there
talked functionality-wise, right? NPS is 0 to 10, measures customer loyalty. CSAT is 5 stars, measures customer satisfaction. I'm going to take a hot take. I think that both are great. I'm not going to stand here and say NPS is the best. I think that it just matters that you're asking for feedback and doing something with it. Personally, I don't care if you do CSAT or NPS or CES. What's really important is doing something with that information and actually actioning feedback and closing the loop. So if you prefer the 0 to 5 scale, great. If you prefer the 0 to 10 scale, that's fine too.
Isn't one of the main differences, like, so NPS is really, would they advocate on your behalf? Would they recommend you to somebody like them? It's almost asking them to make a hypothetical decision to take an action, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to sort of how happy are you?
Yeah,
which feels a little less.
Customer satisfaction. I mean, if I got a CSAT survey after Taco Bell, I'd probably give it a 5 stars. I was very satisfied.
Yeah.
Would I recommend it to a friend?
Would you admit it to a friend?
Probably not. So I mean, yes, like in that case, it can be different. But
Cinnabon. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thanks very much, Alex.
Sure, thank you.
Yeah, great talk.